Official. All right. Hi, I am Duffy Boxer. Just to introduce myself, I am the president of Cumberland Valley Rising. We are doing an interview today with Colleen Gray, and I don't want to pronounce it because I know it and I can hear it in my say it correctly, and that drives me crazy. So like, I'm gonna have you say it, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the question.
It's okay. I get that a lot. It's win. It's the easiest kind, just win. Yep.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. So I grew up here in Cumberland County. I was born and raised here. I went to Cedar Cliff, but now I live in East Pennsboro with my husband and 3 kids. I graduated from college in 2008, which is like probably the worst time ever to graduate from college and try to get a job. So like, since then I've worked all kinds of strange jobs. I was like a dog washer, a barista, a bartender. I served beer for a while at a local brewery. And through all of that, like I was also an organizer. I've gone to diabetes camp my whole life. And the camp that I was going to was charging an exorbitant amount of money for kids to go to camp. So friends of mine and I, a group of us, started our own camp for kids with diabetes. It's a week-long summer camp, and we are the lowest cost diabetes camp in the country. And we've kept it that way for about 7 years. So a lot of my work revolves around diabetes, but also I am one of the co-founders and co-organizers of Harrisburg Beer Week, which was formed to support local businesses, local breweries, and local businesses that serve craft beer in the community. And we did that also as a nonprofit, and it was all female founded. And we raised $195,000 for Harrisburg River Rescue over 5 years.
That's awesome.
So,
I know I have been to a beer fest in Harrisburg. I don't know if it was
so we were actually a week and a half long beer week. And we had events from Carlisle all the way out to like Elizabethtown. I think is the furthest we went.
Yeah. So yeah.
So we had stuff at Market Cross and Desperate Times and Molly Pitcher for sure.
Right.
I have lots of friends at Molly Pitcher.
Yeah, Molly Pitcher, they're both great. Like Carlisle, when it comes all of it, when Carlisle it comes to when it comes to local businesses, especially like restaurants and breweries and stuff, we have it going on down here. It's
absolutely. And that's one of the things I love about craft beer is like it's really like community based, and it helps build communities. So that's just was my passion for a while there.
It's true. You're right. Like
COVID kind of put a damper on that.
Especially
COVID kind of put a damper on that.
And being diabetic, you have to be super careful. And I know it's no joke if someone who's diabetic gets COVID.
Absolutely. So, yes.
Yeah.
So I've also done organizing politically. I worked for PA Stands Up for a while, and I co-managed Shanna Danielson's campaign through her primary in 2020. And then I was field director for Tara Shakespeare, who ran in the 88th district.
I remember her too. Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's good background. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna start here. Some of the questions we go with.
Sure.
So of course, districting is one of the big things in Pennsylvania right now. So what are your feelings on the current districting guidelines, and what improvements would you make, if any at all?
Sure. I think the current process for drawing like the state legislative lines right now is actually not bad.
Right.
Absolutely. Like Leader McClinton is killing it and helping to end prison gerrymandering. And the chancellor, I keep calling him the chancellor because he was at Pitt, the chancellor, but the head of the commission is just, has been really fair, and it's been actually really fun to watch as a political nerd. And I'm like cautiously optimistic that we are going to get really fair lines out of that process, just because of the way that's set up. I think the real problem is going to be the congressional districts. Those are actually drawn by the state legislature, and if anyone even puts on the local news, that like voting rights is kind of a big deal in the legislature right now, and there are some definite extremists that can put a damper on things. I'm confident. Like the governor actually just announced today that he's going to have his own panel of districting experts.
Oh, really? I didn't get to see that.
Yeah, because eventually the map will end up on his desk. So he's going to actually have public input and experts guiding him on the map. And that gives me some hope. Gives me some hope. And either way, like no matter how it turns out, it's likely going to end up on the state at the state Supreme Court. And which is again like gives me some hope, but also that's like such a huge waste of taxpayer dollars to have to go through all of that just to get a fair map that is fair to voters. So independent commission would be ideal. I've been working with fair districts for a long time, and ideally that's what I would like to see, and it's definitely something I would like be very excited to work on in the legislature.
I'm sure with all that, have you like the draw PA, like the group where like everybody makes up their own maps?
Yes. Oh gosh, yes. And I've seen some bad ones. There are some bad ones.
You have sixth graders though doing better maps.
For sure. They tweeted one. They tweeted one last week, and I was like, absolutely not. Anything. This is probably a little bit selfish here, but like anything that splits up the capital region, like puts Harrisburg, like the suburbs of Harrisburg, and splits them up is not a fair map. Even like I live in Enola. We have more in common with the people in Harrisburg than we do with the people in Shippensburg. Like, I'd rather you split up the county than split up our community.
Okay.
So,
It's
interesting. It's an interesting process. And, that's like the number one question I get asked right now. Like, what about the lines? Like, we'll see. Like, we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely, and I do think I know it's state stuff, but you do feel like there needs to be some better guidelines so state governments can't do this, because it's not just us. It's and it's not just, it's both parties have done it in red and blue states. And it just, like, guys, let's just make votes, like everybody gets a vote and all those votes are equal, and it should just be that way. It's not,
absolutely.
All right. Next question is, what would you do to improve equity in our public schools? This is near and dear to me. I am a public school librarian. So
I love that. We probably have some mutual friends. But my mom's also a public school teacher, but she works for the IU. So but
capital area IU?
Yes. Yep. She works in preschool program though.
Aw.
But we probably have mutual friends from other
things. I'm sure.
Anyway,
area, Central Pennsylvania.
It's okay.
And we both grew up here, so definitely.
I think the first thing we need to do is use the fair funding formula that already exists, and get to full implementation of the fair formula as quickly as we can. It's just not fair that's just because a kid lives somewhere else they get a worse education. In a different zip code, different part of the state. And right now, like my kids' school, the school district has the lowest paid teachers in the county. And it's a problem. We're having problems with teacher retention, and that's not okay. And it's the easiest thing is to have a fairer formula and make sure all schools are getting what they need and can plan for the future, and make sure teachers are getting paid fairly. Across the board, no matter where they live. It's funny. It's actually, I knock a lot of doors. I knock a lot of doors even right now, because I'm working with the municipal candidates, and that's the number one thing everyone can agree on is that the property tax system for funding public schools is silly, and it's unfair to both students and to the taxpayers. So like, if the students aren't getting what they need, and the taxpayers are getting overtaxed, then why are we doing it this way? We need to fix it. So yeah, we need to listen to the experts who know what they're doing in terms of education. So
that's it. Yeah, definitely.
I hope that answers your question.
And then in going into this stuff too, what about like we got a lot of fighting about like curriculum, and I'm not going to say the C word. But
You
like, like in updating curriculum so that they reflect more points of view and all those kinds of
Sure.
things. Definitely something, I guess, to me, I always kind of like, I'm going to assume you agree with that because that seems to be where you're heading.
Yes.
So my thing is, what do you think then government officials can do to support teachers and districts in that movement to update curriculum and make them more equitable and more representative of our country, of the population in our country and the students they are teaching?
Sure. Yeah, it's funny. I was just in Arizona with my daughter over the summer. She's an Irish dancer, and we were at a dance competition, and we went to a museum of indigenous art, and they had an entire exhibit on boarding schools. And it was shocking to see how much of it came from Carlisle. Like, I knew that Carlisle had a boarding school. I had a general idea of boarding schools and what they were and what they did, but I had no idea how the entire system was based on what happened in Carlisle. And I've lived here my entire life. That's a problem. Why aren't our public schools, especially in Pennsylvania, we should be talking about that. I remember in fourth grade, having like an entire lesson on Pennsylvania, and that was not part of it.
Which is funny,
and that's ridiculous.
Actually in Carlisle though, it is like we did talk about.
Well, good.
And we, we actually would go like maybe not to what it should have been talked about potentially at that time, because then, they like to sort of then push like Jim Thorpe, right? Because
that drives me crazy.
You know what I mean? Like that was like, oh, look, whatever.
And, like,
but
I absolutely love, I absolutely love the Cumberland County Historical Society. They're absolutely amazing. They're doing great stuff. But what I saw in Arizona was far more extensive than what I see in Carlisle.
And I know they work on it, and but we knew, you pass the gravestones for those kids every day, and and they are starting to disinter and send their bodies back to their tribes. So, but that's definitely,
amazing.
that's
Finally.
definitely the kind of things that everybody all across the country should know about more.
Yeah, I think including more primary sources is a good way to do it, because there's no bias. You're reading right from the source, and doing more things like field trips and having kids actually see what happened. I mean, a lot of it's been erased already, but talking about what has been erased, we have records of that.
Yeah. So. Hey, I'm a librarian, so how I'm going to feel about primary sources. Yeah. Okay. Now we're moving healthcare wise. In your view, what are? No, that's not what I want to do. Excuse me. Sorry, my computer is doing something.
It's okay.
We're not very formal in this. All right. In your view, what are the top 3 healthcare issues that need to be addressed?
I mean, cost and access are absolutely the number one problem, especially in my community. I have diabetes and work a lot with people with diabetes. And I've lost friends because they're rationing insulin because they can't afford it. And I have friends who have complications of diabetes because they can't afford insulin. We hear a lot about people dying very suddenly, but I have friends who are living with long-term complications because of this. And actually, I think the very first bill I would introduce when I would get to the legislature would be an emergency insulin act. And we do have an emergency insulin law in Pennsylvania, but it doesn't account for cost. It says that you can get emergency supply of insulin, but it doesn't say anything about what you will pay for it. And that's a problem. Other states have done this and it works great in it. We have numbers to show that it saves lives. And so that, I would want to put in place something that would give you at least enough insulin to survive for a couple of weeks. So I think another thing is I would love to work is expanding Medicaid. I've worked a little bit with the ladies at the ladies and gentlemen at the Pennsylvania Health Access Network, and that's something they work on a lot, making sure that folks you have coverage. The folks that have coverage are getting good enough coverage, and making sure more people can get coverage. Again, in my community, diabetes is not considered a life-threatening disease. which is absurd. You can only qualify for Medicaid if you're in kidney failure. So they're not even like talking about preventative, like things like that. There's plenty of other, like diabetes is my example just because it's what I live with.
No,
but there are plenty of other diseases or conditions where that should be considered preventative that aren't. And I think the other big thing that COVID has taught us is that housing is a healthcare issue, and safe and affordable housing is absolutely essential to people living healthy.
Yes.
And we need to take care of that for the we have to do it.
The soft infrastructure is just like, that we need to accept that definition and move on. Like that is infrastructure. Let's fund it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely feel that. All right. Then what policies would you create or support to help fight the climate crisis?
Sure. I'm definitely on board for the regional greenhouse gas initiative, also called RGGI. And that's been talked about a lot recently, but the governor wants to join it. The legislature doesn't. The legislature needs to get the heck on board. I would love to create like a state level initiative similar to what Senator Casey is proposing at the national level, to create like a civilian climate corps that would create jobs, like improve our park systems, clean up waterways, that sort of thing. There's no reason not to do that. Like there's no reason at this point. And I think probably one of my least popular stances would be to ban fracking in Pennsylvania. I had a really great conversation with Elizabeth Fiedler about, it was before COVID, so like 1.5 to 2 years ago, probably closer to 2 years ago now that I say this. She got a lot of flack for her criticism of the governor's Restore plan. And the reason why she and some of the other more progressive legislators opposed it was because it would lock the state into a system that supported fracking for, I think it's 20 or 30 years. And I think that's absolutely unacceptable. There's unacceptable. Like addressing climate and our environment should be priority. And we should do that. We could do that in tangent with a civilian climate corps.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Yeah. I mean, those seem to be the people who are doing the most about it now. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I feel like, what is one policy or act you would like to see implemented to help eliminate systemic inequities? Like, and we're talking about like socioeconomic stuff and, policing and, all these systemic issues we have.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to go a little bit different on that, but I think a statewide Equality Act is something that should have happened a long time ago and hasn't. A lot of the local municipalities here have already passed non-discrimination ordinances. Carlisle, Camp Hill have all done it.
We have.
And like queer people deserve protections no matter where they live in the state. And in terms of queer rights, also we need to ban conversion abuse for like everywhere for good. And we can lighten up on the restrictions for name changes. Like we should make changing your name a lot easier, which is for women and for trans folks, like would be a game changer for a lot of people.
I have to say, I'm super proud of Carlisle School District because they make it pretty good, easy for a student to be able to do that on their records, which is nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm a big Paula Broussard fan, so I hope she hears that.
She might. She's one of our members too. So
in terms of policing, we need to be talking more about police budgets and doing it in a way that like makes sense for everybody. I know here in East Pennsboro, we had some issues with like people, like they passed a police budget, no one got a chance to look at it. Like there needs to be more transparency in the way police budgets are being written. And I think we can work on enforcing sunshine laws and creating a more open environment in local communities to be able to fix some of that. Yeah.
Right.
And of course, more access to like human services and mental health care and all of that.
I will take this moment. So since I think it sort of fits in here then too, we could have done it helpful too, but then I'll take this in here because it's such a profound part of inequities too, because with the Texas law banning the abortions before 6 weeks and all the marches and everything that are coming up and all that stuff kind of fits in here, because the one thing we really need to take away from this is that it is profoundly affecting brown and Black people more than even than white people too. So we can put that in there if there's anything you want to say about
I was at the Capitol yesterday talking about this on the steps.
Oh, you did the
I had my megaphone out there.
Yeah.
Reproductive rights are crucial to everyone, but in places, especially in places like Texas, it is disproportionately hurting Black people, brown people, poor people, queer people, and that's unacceptable to me. And not only that, Roe v. Wade is based on the implied right to privacy. So if we let them get away with this right now, they're gonna keep moving. They're gonna come for birth control. We're gonna go backwards on queer rights. They're at healthcare. We have to stop it here. We have to push it back.
Yeah.
And the only way we're gonna do that in Pennsylvania is at the state level would be, we got to keep a Democratic governor and we need more pro-choice legislators. And hopefully at the federal level, they will codify Roe and make it a national policy.
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah.
I could just go on. I truly believe in talking about rights in an inclusive manner. I think that's incredibly important.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's because we're never going to get it if we don't look at it that way. Yeah. It's just end of story. All right, last one, and then snowballing into those human rights too. What would you like to see to ensure immigrants' rights?
Sure, and that's actually an issue that is very important to me. My husband is actually the son of Vietnamese refugees. And they actually founded a nonprofit to support immigrant and refugee women across Pennsylvania. So they could probably speak about this a lot better than I could. But we need to, number one, we need to listen to them. We need to hear come to them, meet them where they're at, hear what they need, and provide services for them. They're here, we need to support them. I'm very excited about the detention center in York, not closing, but they ended their contract with ICE. That's very exciting to me, and I am very proud of my friends at CASA and who helped make that happen. And I want to see the same thing happen at Berks. And I'm excited to work with the folks up there. I do sometimes already with Berks Stands Up. So yeah,
I feel like we're getting there. I really do. I think Berks. Just that's one I'm gonna get out of it, but that's always one of these things I don't get to with some of the pro-life people. I'm like, so if you're gonna pass this ban, then I'm assuming that all of those children whose lives are in danger at the border, you're gonna let in and help and take care of, right?
There's just so many there's so many hypocrisies in all of it, right? And I do think we need to listen, what is needed in the Afghan immigrant community is different than what's needed in the Mexican immigrant community, and we need to be able to provide for all of those folks and listen to them, include them in the conversation.
Yes, right. Don't make the decisions for them.
Exactly.
Make the decision that they need, that they are telling us that should happen. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, that is the last of my questions. Is there anything else you want to throw in there before we wrap it up, or?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I'm excited.
Okay, we covered a lot, so I think I appreciate your time.
Yeah, I was really excited to be here to talk to you. Obviously I haven't been to a CVR meeting in a while.
Well, yeah, you're in East Pennsboro, so yeah, no. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm part of my district covers Silver Spring. And actually, so my husband actually
Okay,
ran for countywide office
Right.
2017.
Oh yeah, like yeah, I was thinking like yeah,
Yeah.
but like the district part of it I get, but like as
Yeah.
a citizen, you're not really in Cumberland County, right? So I get the candidacy, right? But I also understand
Sure.
why someone who lives in East Pennsboro would not have, an
But,
active member.
yeah, well, yeah. I'm also in the Cumberland County Dems Executive Committee. So I've been
Oh,
to
that is
some of our
awesome.
meetings even through that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, they're doing good stuff. Both Carlisle and Cumberland County Dems are doing good stuff. So it's good. All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time
Thank you.
today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for running. The more people like you who run, the better
Totally.
choices we have. So,
Absolutely.
and you've got, I hope the next year keeps your energy up and you get
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a marathon. It's a marathon.
It is.
I'm running it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All right. Thank you so much.
Good to meet you.
Good to
Bye.
meet you too. Bye.